Katrina. In today's video, I'm going to talk about things I experienced in high school which I didn't know were ADHD. Back then I didn't know what ADHD was and I got my diagnosis after school. According to ADHD Australia, 75% of people have yet to be diagnosed with ADHD. You could be one of them watching this. 1 in 25 Australians are affected by ADHD. Before I get into the video, if you're a teacher watching this and you think a student might have ADHD, you can't diagnose them. Only a psychiatrist can do that. But you can and should tell their parents that you think their child might have ADHD and they can get the support, which I wish I had during my school years. Short-term memory problems when watching movies. People with ADHD have short-term memory problems. One way this presented in myself, both inside and outside of the classroom, was when watching movies. When I watched Netflix, I wouldn't remember a lot of what happened. I remember one time in English tutoring, the tutor asked me to describe any movie character. I mentioned I was watching Riverdale, but I struggled to come up with a proper description of a character. You might be wondering how this applied inside the classroom. In English, we had to do an essay based on a film or novel we did in class. And because we weren't allowed to bring in notes, we were expected to have pre-prepared knowledge, and I was never able to come up with film knowledge on the spot. Other short-term memory problems. Short-term memory problems did present in more ways than just watching movies. I wasn't able to remember what someone said word for word. I would remember what they were talking about, but I wouldn't remember the exact wording, even if it was just one sentence. For example, you should have gone to the toilet at lunch. Calling teachers out, it's not that easy to go to the toilet at lunch. I noticed other people were able to quote word for word what a teacher said, including just one sentence or longer stuff the teacher told the class. And I was never able to figure out why I couldn't remember things word for word. Zoning out when someone talked to me. I sometimes zoned out when someone was talking to me. This definitely happened with teachers when they were talking to me one-on-one. For example, I would ask them a question while everyone was working. I can't specifically remember if I zoned out while a teacher was teaching something to the whole class, but it probably did happen. Another occasion where I would sometimes zone out was at lunch when talking to my friends. I would sometimes zone out during the conversation. Distracting thoughts while studying. I sometimes had distracting thoughts when studying. I might be studying for maths test and I have unrelated thoughts in my head which would distract me from getting my work done. I did get my work done in the end, but it would have been more effective without the distracting thoughts. Not getting my driver's license. I was behind everyone else when it came to getting my driving license. You need 50 hours to sit the driving test, which I did reach during year 12, but my skill was never good enough to sit the test. I was desperate to get my license and I did driving lessons, but I couldn't figure out why my ability to drive was coming so slowly. At least 90% of the year group had their P plates during year 12, and being the odd one out made me feel frustrated. Putting in effort and still not getting good marks. My school marks weren't very good despite putting in a lot of effort, which teachers did notice. There's a myth that people with ADHD need to try harder. The truth is ADHD makes things like paying attention, prioritizing tasks, and executive functioning difficult. When your ADHD is undiagnosed, you don't know how to deal with those problems and therefore can't get marks which are much higher than what you're already getting. Poor handwriting. My whole school life, I had poor handwriting. I could write neatly, but it would take 3 times longer. Therefore, I couldn't do it at school when I had to write something in a certain amount of time. There was one time in year 12 where a teacher contacted my parents because I wasn't doing very well in that subject, and she mentioned that handwriting was a problem, and in an exam situation, it's better to write less stuff with neat handwriting than more stuff with bad handwriting, but I never felt like I was able to do that. Messiness. In year 7 and 8, I used a pigeonhole to store my books, and in year 9, I used a locker instead. They were messy because I had a lot of paper to store. I remember one time in year 9 when my sister saw my locker, she was like, "Your locker is messier than my locker." However, this wasn't so much of a problem in years 10 to 12 because I had a computer which could store more stuff than the iPad I was using in middle years.
Difficulty waking up early.
I had difficulty waking up early to go to school. I had to catch the bus at 7:30, therefore woke up at 6:30, and I went to bed around 8:30 to 9 p.m. I found that hard from year 7 to year 12. It never resolved. On the weekend, I felt like I had to have 12 hours of sleep. I didn't know this was a sign of ADHD until my psychiatrist told me, even though I'm not affected by the hyperactivity side. You can be only affected by the attention deficit side and still have problems with sleep. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe and check out my other social media, which is linked below.